Hello, it's day one in the UK of full coronavirus lockdown, which means you can't really go out to do anything, kind of like what they've been doing in other parts of the world for a while. Anyway, what I thought I would do is share my tips on how you can work from home and how you can do it successfully, because I'm lucky enough that I get to work from home quite a lot, usually 1, maybe 2 days a week, so I'm fairly used to this. But I must admit that even though I thought it was going to be a breeze working from home, like I did towards the end of last week, I'm actually a little bit bored and going a little bit stir crazy and missing people and stuff like that. So maybe this would be useful to share. So I've got 5 quick tips. The first one of them is to dress nicely while you're at home. You might not be able to tell because maybe you don't like it, but I've put on this nice jumper with a matching t-shirt beneath it, and I had a shower and I even had a shave earlier today, because I find that if you get up and you get dressed nicely, it just puts you in a better frame of mind and you kind of treat it more like work. It's very tempting to slob around the house wearing your pajamas and, just stay comfy and smelly and not wash. And believe me, that is tempting. I do like doing that, but don't do it, because otherwise you just can't seem to get into the right frame of mind to sit at your desk and do work. I think you've got to force yourself to be a bit smarter. Number 2, and part of that related to this, is that I think you need to have a routine. I like to try and get up fairly early still, and by early I mean like 8 or half 8, because I don't have to commute to work, so I get to have a bit of a lie in. But I still try to get up early-ish, so that around about 9 o'clock I can sit down at my desk and work for a bit. And I usually try to perhaps do maybe 2 hours work, sort of 9 till 11, that type of thing. And the reason for that is because it stops me from feeling guilty. I think the worst thing about working from home is you feel really guilty that you're not working hard enough. Because obviously if you were at work, you'd be in at your desk by 9 o'clock, you wouldn't leave until 5 o'clock, you probably worked through lunch, and you're constantly busy and dealing with things. If you work from home, it's often a lot less intense than that, and that means that you sometimes feel like you've not been working hard. That doesn't have to be the case. I'll come to you with tip 3. But don't beat yourself up, don't feel guilty. And a good way to do that is to start working early, put in an hour or 2, and then if you run out of steam, if you decide that you need to go off and have endless cups of tea and an extended lunch whilst you watch old Family Guy clips on YouTube, do a bit of ironing or whatever it is, you can do that and you won't feel as bad afterwards. I'm not a morning person. I much prefer to work in the evenings. I tend to stay up quite late and I work best sort of around about 6 o'clock onwards. But if I've done something in the morning, first thing, then I feel better the rest of the day, no matter what happens. Third tip is to try to enjoy the benefits of working from home. So this means that you don't have to sit chained to your desk from 9 to 5. You don't have to constantly answer emails. You don't have to be doing loads of admin type jobs, because that's not what you have to do when you work from home. You've got more independence, more freedom. Working from home gives you more time to do the things that you like doing, because you don't have to commute. You don't necessarily have to go to as many meetings, because they might just be online and it's usually easier to do them. You don't have to be interrupted by people needing help and wanting you to do stuff. And so that gives you a lot more space to do the things that you like doing. And that means work that you can enjoy doing. So I like doing lots of research and writing on the days where I work from home, because it tends to be a bit more peaceful and I can concentrate. And you know what? Say it quietly, but it also means you can enjoy doing fun stuff, like walking around the house and doing a bit of DIY, doing a bit of gardening, watching something on YouTube. And you can chill out and you don't have to feel guilty about that, because you've saved all that time commuting, you've saved that time talking to people. And realistically, if you were at work, in the office, on campus or whatever, you spend a lot of your day talking to colleagues, and sometimes it's work related, sometimes it's just general socialising. And that's really important, because that builds positive corporate culture and that gets you all working together as peers and as friends, and hopefully that's time well spent. Now, when you're at home on your Todd, you don't spend time doing stuff like that, so you can spend it on other types of socialising with yourself, doing things that you like doing, reading a book, watching TV. And then my next tip number 4, is still making sure that you check in with people, because I really don't think you should discount how important it is to talk to people at work, whether it's clients, whether it's managers, and whether it's peers, the people that you work with. I really do enjoy spending time with my colleagues. We have a lot of great conversations, and so you miss out on that when you're at home. But we live in a world that is very digitally connected. We have the joys of social media as well as the downsides, so be careful with that. We have obviously the telephone. Be careful with emails, because I think that can get sort of stuck into long loops of conversations, and sometimes emails are monitored. But still make sure you talk to people, okay? Stay in touch with work colleagues, stay in touch with friends, and just make sure you don't get isolated, because it is easy to start feeling a little bit lonely if you work from home for several days in a row. And obviously we're possibly going to have to do this now for weeks or even months in a row, and it may get a little bit lighthouse keepery. And you know that lighthouse keepers in films always go crazy and murder people. Probably deeply unfair to lighthouse keepers, but I think they're a group that we're allowed to stereotype, probably because they're not unionised and there aren't many of them to defend themselves. Okay, the final tip, and this is, I think, the very hardest one to do. This is the real challenge of working from home, is don't just stuff your face all day, snacking and eating loads of food. It's very, very, very hard to avoid this, because you get kind of bored, and the kitchen is like, literally, for me, it's just up them stairs, you know, and basically every sort of 15 minutes, I think, you know what, I'll just go and have a cup of tea. And then usually while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, you have a biscuit or a yogurt or whatever. So if you've got access to the shops still, I would stock up on tons of fresh fruit. So at least when you're tempted to eat something because you're bored, you might have an apple or a banana. And make sure you don't have anything tasty in your cupboards. Like if I have a pack of biscuits in my cupboard, it will be gone that same day. You just can't help it. You can't resist if you've got no willpower like myself, which I do not. So while you're inside, working day after day, try not to snack loads, develop an addiction to coffee. That's very useful. Until I started working from home, I didn't drink coffee, but now, you know, I have, you know, dangerous addiction levels to caffeine. Without it, I can't function. And make sure you have fresh fruit in. Don't have sweet things in. Otherwise, you're going to just balloon, basically. Still, wouldn't really matter if you did. Right, enjoy working from home. It really is good. It's much more sustainable. It's better for the planet. It cuts out a lot of the crap that we perhaps don't need to do. It makes you realise that maybe all those meetings and emails and stuff were not necessary. It gives you the time to spend on yourself, doing your job really well, doing the bits of the job that you love, the bits of the job that you sometimes don't like and neglect. It forces you to confront all of those and deal with them. And it also gives you space to do some of the other stuff that you like doing in terms of wider things around the house, maybe more creative projects, a bit more self-reflexivity and deciding, you know, getting in tune with who you are. Right, good luck.